Welcome to CCN. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and these are some of your top stories for today, January 22nd, 2020. House managers call White House counsel a fact witness, warning disqualification from defense team. Mike Pence invokes a racist president and a scoundrel senator to defend Trump. Did he even know it? Man allegedly kills a pro-Trump boss after argument, throws American flag on his body. How female voters feel about the 2020 election. And UN calls for a probe into alleged Saudi hack of Jeff Bezos. These and other stories. Let's get to the news. The House managers in the impeachment trial have told President Donald Trump's lead lawyer, White House counsel Pat Cipollone, that they believe that he is a fact witness to the charges and are demanding that he disclose all related information so that the Senate and Chief Justice John Roberts can be apprised of any potential ethical issues, conflicts, and or biases. The managers sent a letter to Cipollone on Tuesday saying that the risks associated with being an advocate for Trump and an alleged witness are so serious that they can require a lawyer's disqualification. The White House responded in a statement letter on Tuesday calling the Democrats an utter joke. They also sent a statement, and it says as follows: the idea that the counsel to the president has to turn over protected documents and confidential information is ludicrous, and to imply he can't represent the President of the United States in an impeachment proceeding is completely absurd, the statement said. Democrats on Tuesday called Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's proposal for President Donald Trump's impeachment trial appealing a national disgrace and deliberately designed to hide the truth. Chuck Schumer pledged to offer amendments to change the most egregious thing Mitch McConnell proposed, pleading for 4 Republicans, the total needed from the majority, to vote with the Democrats. So all of this has been going on for these few days right now. It's still actually going on. Today will be day 2 of opening statements. I believe the opening statements will come from the President's Counsel. Now going into other news. Op-ed last week, a partisan impeachment, a profile in courage. Vice President Mike Pence appealed to Senate Democrats to vote to acquit President Trump of the abuse of power and obstruction charges. He based his appeal on the 1868 Senate trial of the impeached President Andrew Jackson, which resulted in an acquittal by the slimmest of margins, a single senator's vote. Pence has no more a grip on American history than Trump does, who claimed that Andrew Jackson, who died in 1865, was really angry about the Civil War, which began in 1861. And Pence telling President Johnson, a Democratic vice president who became president after President Lincoln was assassinated, was a victim, Pence claims that Johnson only wanted to bring the southern states back into the fold as soon as possible, but fell prey to Republicans in Congress bent on vengeance against the South. So the Republicans hacked a plot, sounds like a familiar refrain, to remove Johnson by impeaching him. Spare no pity for Andrew Johnson, who was a rigged dictatorial racist, who is regarded by many historians as one of the worst presidents in American history. In a historical whitewash, Pence mentioned opaquely that Johnson vetoed several pieces of the Reconstruction legislation. However, in fact, Johnson fought tooth and nail against laws intended to provide economic opportunity and legal equality to the newly freed slaves, including the Freedmen's Bureau Bill, the Civil Rights Act of 1866, and the 14th Amendment, many of which had been passed over his veto. According to one historian, other than slavery, Johnson sought the return to the pre-war social economic system. He rightly shared the blame for nearly a century of legalized racial oppression, and ended only with the civil rights movement. Pence displayed extremely poor taste in publishing his op-ed just before Martin Luther King Day. A construction worker in Florida has been accused of murdering his pro-Trump boss with a trowel after a political argument on the construction site where they both worked, and then throwing an American flag, on the man's body. The incident occurred on Monday morning at approximately 10:30 a.m. when an emergency dispatch received a call from a coworker saying that Mason Trevor Tony, 28, had stabbed and killed their boss, 28-year-old William Stephen Knight, on the Florida Turnpike job site, according to the arrest affidavit obtained by the news. The Orange County Sheriff said that the murder appeared related to political dispute between the men. Knight was a big supporter of President Donald Trump, while Tony was an anti-government and very outspoken about his beliefs that the government is bad and out to get him. Deputies arrived. They found Knight's body lying next to an excavator on the job site, with a brand new American flag thrown into the side of the victim's body that didn't belong to anybody on the site, according to the arrest affidavit. Democratic women are gearing up to become even more engaged around the 2020 election than they've been in recent years, according to a new survey by the American University Women's in Politics Institute and the Barbara Lee Family Foundation. That's a warning sign for the GOP, which had been losing female voters to the Democratic Party at significant rates over the last few cycles. By the numbers, 39% of Democratic likely women voters say that they've been more involved in this year's political issues or campaigns. That compares with the 23 of Republicans. And 10 millennial women and women of color say that they've planned to be more involved. In the 2018 midterms, 59% of women overall voted for the Democratic House candidate, with those rates reaching 73% of Latinas and 92% of black women. By a margin of 2-1, millennial women say that they'll vote for a Democratic candidate over a Republican candidate in 2020's presidential election, per the poll from the Skimmie. Pollsters have tracked a gender gap in which larger shares of women than men have identified as Democrats since the early 1980s, and more women than men have voted in every presidential election since the 1980s, but the 2016 election sparked a new movement for women in politics, with more voting and running for office than previous cycles. 42% of all Democratic nominees for the House, Senate, and governor's races in 2018 were women, compared to just 14% of Republican nominees. The 11-point gender gap, the percentage of women and men who vote for any given candidate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in 2016 was larger than any other year except for 1996 with Bill Clinton and Bob Dole. The Women's March, which started in 2017 after President Donald Trump was inaugurated, is one of the clearest signs of the women's increased political engagement in the Trump era. Data shows that women are getting more actively involved. 42% of women surveyed said that they've encouraged friends and family to vote and get involved in a campaign or an issue in the past few years. UN experts are demanding an immediate investigation by the U.S. and others into evidence indicating Jeff Bezos, the billionaire owner of the Washington Post, was hacked with spyware developed in a WhatsApp message sent from the account of the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. In a joint statement, they were gravely concerned by the information they had received about the possible involvement of the Crown Prince in surveillance of Bezos in an effort to influence, if not silence, the Washington Post reports on Saudi Arabia. The statement comes after The Guardian reported on Tuesday that Bezos, who is the chief executive of Amazon and the world's richest man, appeared to have had his mobile phone hacked in 2018 after receiving a WhatsApp message apparently sent from a personal account of the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. The encrypted message from the number used by the Prince Mohammed is believed to have included a malware file and infiltrated his phone, according to sources. Entertainment news: Takashi 69, the chart-topping rapper turned federal informant, will serve the rest of his 24-month prison sentence behind bars. His legal team's motion for the rapper to be remanded to his home or a community correctional facility was denied by the judge. The court's determination was and is that a 24-month prison sentence is necessary in this case. Born Daniel Hernandez, 6'9", was arrested in November of 2018 along with several other members of the Nine Trey Bloods. The rapper pleaded guilty to firearm and racketeering charges back in January of 2019 and agreed to testify against his former associates. Other entertainment news: Kanye West tells 1,200 students how Jesus changed his life. The devil had me. Kanye West continuing his faith-based crusade, telling thousands of college students at a youth conference on Sunday how Jesus radically changed his life. The Jesus is King rapper and husband of Kim Kardashian shared his experience in between songs on a Sunday service choir at the Strength to Stand conference in Tennessee, where 1,400 of the 400 students in attendance made the decision for Christ, according to the organizers and evangelist Scott Dawson. Dawson invited the 42-year-old born believer last minute in November after the comedian John Crist had to step down due to a moral failure. I believe Jesus died for my sins, West declared. The Christian Post reported, there was a time when the devil had me. Watching and listening to CCN News. As always, please be the change that you want to see. So if you want change, you have to be that change. The change begins with you. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Once again, I am your host, Captivating Christian, and thanks for watching. Peace.